Hello everyone, what's up? Take a look at this Death Guard Malcador heavy tank, chipped, rusted and battle worn. In this weathering tutorial, I'll show you step by step how to apply chipping to your tanks to achieve a gritty, war-torn effect like this. So if you've ever wanted to weather your Warhammer tanks like a pro, this is the video for you. And just a reminder, when we hit 10k subscribers, this fully painted Malcador could be yours. No random draws here, you'll have to earn it in my upcoming giveaway quiz. Stick around to find out how. So let me tell you how I prepped the tank to achieve best results. See that gray stuff all over the tank? What do you think I did that for? Yes, that's right, texture. Check it out. Let me introduce you to my friend Mr. Surfacer 1200. This is a lacquer base filler and primer which can be airbrushed, if thinned correctly, or applied with a brush as I did here. As you can see, the idea is to stipple it on using an old brush. This is super easy and fun to do and can really set up your model for success, in particular when using this chipping method or also that known as liquid mask chipping. More on different methods later. While you see me continue to apply the product, a few important things to know. First of all, this product melts and adheres to plastic and plastic only. This will not work with resin models. Secondly, this was 1200, remember? That is the grit, or how coarse the texture is. And there you can see the effect on the turret and the main gun, where I wanted it more pronounced, and so I mixed it with Tamiya Basic Putty. Pretty cool, huh? So fast forward to the rust undercoat, which I completed off camera. My process here was to prime in black, apply first coat of the darkest rust paint basically everywhere, then apply progressively smaller and lighter coats. Lastly, I applied the lightest rust paint using the method known as airbrush stippling, which I will explain in my next video. This is what creates the speckles of light rust that you can see in some places. After applying chipping fluid quite liberally all over the model, which I did off camera as well, I started to apply the off-white base coat. For this I used AK Real Colors Off-White and Tamiya XF2 Flat White thinned at 60/40 with AK High Compatibility Thinner. Moving on to the left side panel, you can see how the paint is atomizing beautifully. No dry tip, no splatter. To achieve this, I used the Gallery Mobius SP airbrush, which I tested extensively in a previous video. If you want to see the full breakdown of how I kept a flawless spray for over 30 minutes non-stop, check that out later. With the entire model now fully base coated, we're ready for the main event, the actual chipping action. So this is it. Our extremely complicated set of tools and products begins with some tap water and a brush of your choice. Let's go! This first segment isn't particularly exciting, I know, but it's important that you understand the process. Add water gently, little by little, without applying any pressure at this stage. Next, grab our first instrument of torture, a cocktail stick. Your goal here is to use a tapping motion to make small incisions in the paint. Chipping is the process whereby the top coat is removed and the rust undercoat revealed. With a paint hard as nails, like the one I used here, you would need a lot more to actually overdo this, as you will see later. But if you're using water-based paints instead, you will definitely want to exercise caution and maybe do a test panel first. So right now I'm using what is the standard tool in this process, a flat brush, which is also dampened with water. The water is what will activate the chipping fluid that we airbrushed before, and the friction that we're applying will erode the top coat, so to speak. There, see that? It took a while, but the magic is starting to happen. By the way, I did say I would mention methods alternatives to this one. If you want to know more, click on the card above. It's a very old video of mine, but I think it has held up really well. By the way, what I like to do with the water and paint residue that forms is to blow it away with the airbrush and also dry the area in the process. Make sure to have some paper towels ready on your bench. But enough about that. To quote Terry Bogard, it's time to get serious. What the hell am I doing with a screwdriver, you ask? Why, it's our next instrument of torture, of course. The idea is the same as with the cocktail stick. We've just upped the ante, as it were. One thing you will have noticed is that I'm being sort of deliberately random, if you like. Remember, symmetry is the enemy of weathering. Switching back to the brush, you can see that even with a lot of water and a lot of, well, aggression, this paint is really tough. If I had used acrylics, this panel would have been scrubbed clean of paint pretty much. Therefore, what is best in life, Conan? Lacquer paints. Why? Well, they will allow you to modulate a lot of weathering steps, like chipping, without having to be afraid of the consequences. Not to mention the fact that for wargaming models, they will make your paint finish pretty much indestructible. Yes, I know I'm a broken record. By the way, I call this paint residue paint scum, and you will have noticed that it's tinting the top coat. With a color like white, that is basically inevitable, even if you apply the varnish to the undercoat before the chipping fluid, which I had actually done in this case. At any rate, for this project, that slight tint was actually an intended byproduct. Here you can see me work on that cupola hatch with a screwdriver. That is starting to look pretty awesome, if I may say so myself, don't you think? Similarly, the engine compartment is one of the best bits for this. Again, it's important to keep it random, and remember that you can do this in stages, progressively making a panel grungier and grungier until you're happy. So take your time and enjoy the process. Fasten your seatbelts, guys. It's time to change weapons to move to a sanding stick. Yes, that's right. I'm actually wet sanding the paint. Has it gone mad, you say? Well, the results speak for themselves, don't you think? Look at that. Of course, you run the risk of sanding all the way to the plastic, but to be honest, that's totally fine. If that bothers you, apply some enamel rust wash over it, and it will just look like more rusted metal. Next up, an old and actually dirty airbrush needle. Here I'm using it mostly to get a fine line along the edges of those panels, using what my friend Rick called reverse edge highlighting, which I think is very apt. Now I want to emphasize that part of mastering this technique is actually switching back and forth between different tools and knowing when to do so. Here you can see I also got the sanding stick out, and in the end, that is what gave me the best results here. You might have wondered about the cupola here. That is just some liquid mask, which behaved admirably, although it was not as easy to remove, of course, as on the perfectly smooth panels of my Custodes vehicles. On this part of the front hull, I went back to the screwdriver, which got me really excellent results. Look at all those rivets and little scratches. And speaking of scratches, I can spot fake, painted on scratches from a mile away, guys. If you're still doing that, it's time to join the Risk for Terra dojo and earn your battle scars the right way. But let's now move on to the real star of the show, shall we? The green panels, of course. As you can see, the masking of that sort of weird heptagon worked really well. If you're interested in how I applied the masking or what paints I went for the green panels, I could make a quick extra video if you like. Let me know in the comments. But I digress. After adding quite a lot of water, I went straight to my most aggressive brush, but just a brush in this case. Different paint, different hardness, different tools. After drying the panel, the results were quite spectacular, if I may say so myself. Look at the effect of that texture now. See, that's what the preparation was all about. This is what you cannot possibly achieve using methods like sponge chipping. Not content with that, however, I went for round 2, knowing that I would want a more aggressively weathered base for the Death Guard decals on this area of the model. And by the way, decal weathering will be part of my next video. After drying the panel for a second time, I was greeted with a surface that looked just like I had envisaged. Mission accomplished. Alright guys, let's talk about how you can win this fully painted Malcador heavy tank. To celebrate 10,000 subscribers, I'm giving it away. But not to just anyone. You'll need to prove your knowledge of my videos in a quiz covering my many tank-related videos. No random draws here. You earn your prize. This quiz will go live on Saturday, February 8th, the day after my weathering highlights video, the second video in this series, drops. Full details will be in that video, so make sure not to miss it. If you want this battle-worn war machine for your own collection, you better start brushing up on my past tank videos now, and subscribe so you don't miss the announcement. That's it for today's tutorial, guys. I hope that you found it useful. A huge thanks to my Patreon supporters who helped make these videos possible. And a special shout out today to my newest Magos level Patreons of 2025. Robin, David, and Tomasz. Welcome aboard. And here's the deal. I'm giving away a brand new Gallery Ambition airbrush set, which consists of a compressor, an airbrush, hoses, accessories, everything, to the first 5 new Magos Patreons of 2025, and that means that there are 2 spots left as of today. As always, like, comment, and subscribe for more weathering madness. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep it up and weather it out.